Well, even though I'm over there blowing the daylights under Butterfly, making a lot of mess, I have not stopped working on the Ouray Branch. I started roughing in, as you remember, I used to have the cardboard box here as my test shot to see how it looked. Well, starting last weekend, I started transferring all those measurements and drawings to sheet plywood, cut it all out, and within 3 or 4 days I had it pretty much to this state. The whole building, from what Joe Foose and I figure, is corrugated iron, and it's a pretty crappy looking building. So I'm trying to make it look crappy. I'm trying to make it look like it's tired and it's ready to come down. Because the building actually did not exist in 1940, so when you go across the mill trestle, all you would see is foundations and some scrap lumber. The photograph I'm working from, I believe, was taken in the early 1920s or maybe earlier. That's how I've got the overall layout of this building. I have one photograph this way. I have nothing this way or nothing there. What has yet to be added is another dormer here, plus a piece of building here and a building here, but these things are all made out of wood with tar paper roofs. Saves my limited supply of corrugated iron. There's also a big stack here. There's another building here which I really have no idea what it looks like, but there's a stack coming out of it too.
It's like a powerhouse?
I don't know. I don't know. And I'm going to put another building here. Again, I have no idea what it's going to look like. But it has a couple of big stacks coming out of it too. So who knows what exactly is going on down here. And frankly, I've just closed the book and I've kicked my imagination in gear based on what I've seen in the one photograph. And I'm going to see what happens. Should be an interesting project. So I have been exploring some weathering ideas. Again, this is all new for me. But what I did is when I covered the whole roof with sheets of aluminum, aluminum corrugated iron, I marked off in 8-foot lengths and then scribed panel lines across to give you the idea that these were 8-foot panels. And then I'm holding a cardboard here and I'm coming along with chalks. I'm using the pan pastels. So I put some dark gray and some black and maybe a little brown, and then I just brush from the cardboard across here. And then I keep playing with it until it's okay. Then I move up about 8 feet and do the same thing again and again.
Yep.
But what I've discovered, the first time I did this, I didn't like what I was doing.
Oh, why is that?
It just didn't look right.
What were you doing, Bill?
Well, I had, the colors were not quite right, and I had a couple of lines in I didn't like. So my thinking was, well, just take some acetone and a cloth and wipe it off.
You got your effect.
Ha ha, it doesn't wipe off fully, but by Jesus, it ever give a neat effect. So every time I've done a section, I just take a cloth with some acetone and go down with the grain.
Yeah.
And it just makes a really neat effect.
Yeah, it sure does. It looks great.
Yeah. The only trouble is you got to watch because it's...
yeah, you can touch that up.
Got to touch up the aluminum. And I've been playing around the back here. I did the same thing, and you got to keep in mind that the building is pretty tired looking at the time. I'm working from that one photograph, so I'm trying to make it look tired.
So this is manufactured corrugation, eh?
Yeah, this I bought from TSM years ago.
Yeah.
I bought a whole pile of it. At the time, it was the only stuff available.
So what kind of strips was it in that you...
It's in 8 by 8 squares.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's usually I cut it into panels, but I just didn't feel like cutting all this into panels, so I put on the whole sheets with contact cement,
and then just carved the line in.
Scribed the lines to give you the idea that it was sheets, and then started weathering accordingly. So it's turned out better than I expected.
Yeah.
It's not going to be a prize winner, but that's not what it's there for.
No.
And by the time you get the dormer on here and the couple of buildings here and the rest down here and get the scene finished, I think it's going to look quite neat.
Yeah, that's for sure. It's quite a nice building.
I'll also have to restain the trestle a bit, and then whatever the ground color is, I've got to try and get this across here because it looks like they used it as a road at this time.
Now I see the sort of cutouts there in the aluminum where the windows are going to go. What sort of plan have you got for doing the windows?
The windows are built.
They're hand built.
No, they're Grant line casting.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they're just a measured size that you've been using.
Well, what I did is I took 4 of the industrial building windows and glued them together
Okay.
to make these big guys here.
Right.
And then the others are just singles.
Yeah.
Now up here I've used HO scale ones. These
Yeah.
are all S scale.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so later on you'll just take the building out, cut out the holes and stick the windows
No, I'm
in?
not going to cut out the holes.
You just glue them right on top?
I've got, let's take it upstairs and I'll show you.
Okay.
So here's my windows. They start life as a window that big.
Yeah.
And I've glued 4 of them together.
Uh-huh.
And they're going to fit right in here. Just like that. And the black is actually old photo film from the days when CDS Lettering was doing their drawings of that.
Yes.
And Tom gave me a bunch, and it just makes the perfect window if you don't want to have go to the effort of cutting it all out. And as there's nothing in the building,
Now, are they that thin, or did you have to sand down the backs?
that's the way they are.
Okay.
They're going to go in just like that. They'll get dirtied down a bit. These guys go up here, and this guy goes here. So now it adds a little color to a rather blah sort of building. But what I'll do then is I'll come over and I'll dirty up the white a bit,
Yeah.
because it shouldn't be as bright as that. But that won't be done until after I've weathered the front of the building.
That's nice.
Well, it has, I mean, you know, I have the one photograph,
Yep.
and I have no idea what the front of the building looks like. And if I live for 412 years, I might eventually find a photograph, so I'm not going to worry about it.
How did you frame up the inside, and what kind of material did you use behind the metal?
That is just 32 thou plywood
Right.
that I got at the hobby shop that sells aviation parts,
Right.
and this is just 1/4 inch square that I use to brace it on.
Okay.
It's, I'd like to say cheap, but the plywood is not cheap.
Plywood isn't cheap anymore, is it?
No, and I got to buy at least 3 sheets for the other mill.
Wow. But as far as when you buy a kit goes, you still cost a lot less money than
Yeah.
what you would do if you're going to buy a kit. How much money would you say you put into a building like that with the Grant Line windows and the wood?
About $50.
Yeah, so I mean that's not too bad considering.
Maybe $70 might be closer, because
Yeah.
you've got to take in the exchange on our rate lower and that.
Sure.
But I bought a whole bunch of windows when Bill M was working on the other mills at Pandora.
Yes.
So we had more windows than we needed, so I'm using them up here. When you stop and think about all the Grant Line parts I've used over the years, starting in HO and some in O and everything else, I think I should be getting dividends.
You have to talk to him about that.
I can hear Dave Grant when he hears that one. He's, what? Dividends?
Maybe you
No
can
way.
talk about that at the next show.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are a lot of model railroaders that have invested well in the Grant Line.
Grant Line has a good line of castings in that. Certainly if you're working in HO or O, there's a lot. There's a good selection in S scale.
Yeah.
But S scale is popular as the other
A
scale.
lot of people talk about in building structures that they like signage and stuff like that. Are you going to put any signage on it?
I have no idea.
You have no idea.
There's
Yeah.
nothing showing in any of the pictures.
Yeah.
Or the
No
one-
butterflies.
No butterflies. No. So I don't know. I'll probably put some sort of signage on the other.
Yeah.
But a lot of the mines didn't have signage.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at all the mines, I've seen very few of them with signage. So there might be a little sign at the entrance.
Keep out.
Well, keep out, yeah. But no, I don't see many of the buildings with big signs on saying what they are.
Yeah.
Because the big Propatriot Mill doesn't have that. In fact, the only one that really has any signage is the one I did for Zilpin.
Yeah.
And that's the
make a point.
You know, that's to tease Alexander Zelkin in France, because that's where that whole thing originated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
That's what we're up to.
Well, it's looking great. I'm looking forward to seeing the install.
Here's what's left of the trestle.
Whereabouts is the trestle? Oh, yeah.
There's what's left of the trestle I took out.
So, it's nice to see that old stuff gets to be reused.
Yeah. So I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but it'll be here for a while.
Ah, so, you know, you'll find a use for it someday. Maybe just, maybe it's even a little gash area over your siding and butterfly somewhere where it comes in, eh? Who knows, there just might be something cut away.
I have no plans for it.
Yeah.
I have no plans for building any more railroad down there.
No.
Don't have any room.
I know, but you got to design the siding, right, and butterfly.
Yeah, I don't see how that's going to work, but you never know.
Yeah, didn't they have to go over some kind of a gulch or something to get to that artificial oil facility?
You're just making more work for me.
Yeah,
having a good time.
I am having fun with you here, that's for sure.
This has replaced a few ideas around here.
Yeah.
Let me get rid of this.
So, what was the manufacturer of this chop saw? And I guess he makes other tools too for obvious.
He makes a table saw that I'm not really fussy about.
Okay.
But this here is just great. All right.
Yep.
Wood going around. Pretty straightforward. There's a guide here.
Mm-hmm.
And you can also turn the table.
Yes.
All right. And you just simply loosen that. Away it goes.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And
So you can get your angle cuts.
Yeah. So this is what I did when I cut the bench for the new trestle. I simply set this up where I wanted it.
Yep.
And brought it in, turned it on.
Nice clean cut too, eh?
So this is what I like about it. You get a nice square cut.
Yeah.
All right. What's a bloody handy machine?
Yep. What does a machine like that set you back roughly?
Oh, 3.5, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish I had it earlier.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just the price of half a locomotive.
Yeah.
So that's saving you a lot and doing a lot in terms of scratch building.
Well, it certainly made
tool.
it easier with building the trestle, because all I did was decide how long I wanted the pieces.
Yeah.
And then I cut straight ones,
Yep.
the center of the beam, and then I swung the blade
For your angles.
for my angles, and I just kept chopping away, and
Yeah.
it's done.
Wonderful. Great piece, that's for sure.
Yep. What I was doing is I have the pan pastels down here, and wherever I have a line, all right, so I was dabbing the grays and the blacks on here, and then drawing them this way.
Right.
Okay, so you got a heavy coat here, and it thinned out as you went down. You can actually see where it's heavy here and it's thinned out.
Yep.
And then I just, crossed again, and I go up a couple, and then I just took acetone on a paper towel and went like that, and it just blended it all neat. It took.
You didn't scrub it though. You just
no,
lightly
I just worked this way.
Yeah. Nice and light.
You basically take a paper towel. You can see the debris.
Yeah.
And you just go like this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it changed the whole texture of it. It got
Softened it all.
Yeah, got rid of some things I didn't like, and where I wanted more dirt, I just added more, and it's working really well. I'm not going to say it's going to solve all the problems.
The original rust color, was that just out of a spray bomb?
Yeah, it's just a commercial spray bomb.
Yeah, so it's like a primer, eh?
Yeah,
primer red?
It's right behind it.
Like a Rust-Oleum primer?
Yeah. It's
or something along those lines. Rona.
yeah.
Good Canadian company. Or was, I guess.
It's now.
It's en français completely. Rust primer.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good.
All right. And
So,
of course, if you don't like something, you just spray the whole thing over again and
Go
at
again.
it again, because it's basically just a static model.
Yeah.
Not a contest model, not meant to be.
Yeah. So what can we expect next time when I come to visit? What do you?
I hope to have the backdrop painted blue, and I hope to have the trains running.
Oh, and you're going to hold the camera then while I'm painting the backdrop, are you?
I'll get Leo to do that.
You can comment on that. Oh, you got to go higher with that mountain. Higher, higher.
We do have to take a long, serious look at the photograph.
Yeah.
I'm not going to try and duplicate it by any stretch of the imagination, but I want to get the effect
Sure.
of the hill.
The vertical stuff, yeah.
Because it's straight up. I've been there.
Yeah.
I've walked the roadbed.
So you're telling me I'm going to be learning some new painting techniques?
We're going to change the painting techniques again.
Yeah, there you
We're going
go.
to go back to Grandview and change some of that backdrop that's already painted.
Yep.
Along closer to the lines of what was done at Deep Creek.
Sure.
Yeah, so there's a few new techniques and ideas to throw at you.
No problem.
Yeah.
Good.